What's up, Skye Squad? It's your boy, Richie Skye. And guess what, y'all? We are back in the building. Yes, we are up in here. Listen, let me know if you guys can see and hear me clearly in the chat like we always do. Also, be sure to let me let me know where you're watching from. Y'all know I like to know, okay? What y'all doing while you watching and where you watching from, okay? I want to be all up in your business. You know what I'm saying? Just a couple of things. We're going to be talking today about Basketball Wives, Jennifer Williams. She's finally speaking out about Tim Norman, okay? And there's a misspelling in the Facebook, in the title on Facebook. I'll fix that after this video. But we're also going to be talking about Nene leaks. And then we're going to be talking about Megan Thee Stallion. Now, what I want to say today is that we're going to be talking about all of this within the context of this question. Are we listening to our Black women? Okay? That is going to be sort of the topic that we're really kind of going to touch on today with these three news stories. Just so you guys know, housekeeping, let's get that out of the way real quick. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Hit that notification bell button as well. You guys know that you can watch this on Facebook. As I did mention earlier, we're streaming simultaneously, so managing both all at once. And also, you guys can join the texting community so that you can get a text message from me as soon as a new video drops as well. Just text me at 1-202-918-3386 to jump on board with that. And of course, guys, you know what? If you want to go ahead and support a Black-owned detox tea company, y'all know what to do. Go ahead and click the link in the description down below so you can get into all of that. The company is called Tava. Great company. I love them so far. Now, I see the good chatterization. We got some people at work in Savannah. We got Chattanooga, okay? We got Virginia in the house. Let's see, Indianapolis, Orlando, Florida, okay? We got Baltimore. We got California, okay? We got Vegas in the house, Tennessee, Colony, Texas, St. Louis. I see y'all. Wichita, Kansas, Chicago, Memphis, Tennessee, Pensacola, Florida. I see y'all. So I want to go ahead and stage dive into our first topic, guys. Your girl Nene leaks. Well, actually, first, let me backtrack. Let's backtrack, okay? I want to take it back to Monique. And the reason why I want to take it back to Monique is because, you know, she, to me, was... I feel like whenever we look back on these sort of instances that we're seeing now, I kind of reference Monique a lot, specifically because we look back at some of the things that she's gone through and experienced and some of the things that she's tried to call out, not only about her industry counterparts, but also about networks like Netflix and so forth, right? So I just want to kind of put all of this in context with Monique as well. So let's get into Nene, okay? So Nene, again, is back on the Twitter, and she is letting people have it, but not naming names, okay? She's letting people have it, but not naming names. And a lot of people feel like it's hard to get behind her because we don't know specifically who she's referring to. But I feel like an educated guess will tell us that she's referring to the network, okay, Bravo, as well as her co-stars, okay? So let's take a look at exactly what she's saying. Now, she tweeted this: you do somebody wrong, but want them to be quiet about your wrongdoings. How does that work? So I'm assuming an educated guess would be that, you know, the network is wanting her to be silent about what she is experiencing or has experienced. But I want to take it a step further, right? We want to take it a step further with Nene because I want to take a look at her Twitter account, right? So with Nene, we'll take it back to Twitter. So let's look at it, right? As you guys can see, there's a ticking clock here, right? So we have this ticking clock, and I'm assuming this is to mean that time is up, okay? I don't know. What do you guys in the chatterization, what do you guys think about this whole clock? Do you think she's, you know, it's a countdown in action? Thank you, Aisha Miller, who says Black women need our own movement. We are not protected, nor are we supported, especially by Black women as well as Black men. Thank you for that super chat. So I want to take it back. And she says again, you do somebody wrong, but want them to be quiet about your wrongdoings. Then she places the clock here. It's ticking down, okay? And so she too says in her tweet, support Black women, okay? Then she says, I have protected everyone for years and covered up things I shouldn't have. I took the beating so others didn't have to, and no one has protected me or stood up for me. Y'all have gone silent and turned the other cheek. You are not exempted from getting this same treatment one day, okay? Now here, my question to you guys in the chat is, do you guys feel as though she's referring to her Real Housewives of Atlanta castmates who may be being silent to protect their own jobs? You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I feel like, and maybe we have all been guilty of this at one point in time or another, we've seen something happen wrong in the workplace or in the office where we work. And so I agree with you. This is a large part of, I feel like, why people, have an issue with this. But we're going to touch on that. So work with me as I walk through this. We've been in the office. We've seen something happen. We've seen somebody go through something that we know that they shouldn't have gone through, and we didn't speak up for fear of our own jobs, because typically in those situations, we still got to get our paycheck, correct? Now, again, here's the thing. I get it. I'm not saying that everybody needs to speak up, because I understand the mentality that occurs when maybe you haven't had that same experience yet, but also you need to protect your own bag, right? So who knows what she's actually referring to? Again, she does not name names. I'm only making an educated guess here, but I want to move on because she does highlight a couple of other things. And don't worry, I see some of your comments. We're going to touch on a lot of those comments as well. She retweeted that the people she is talking to know what she's talking about. One thing I know for sure is that always what's done in the dark will be brought to light. It's an old cliche, but it's so very true. Okay. And then she says, it's not about one Black woman. This is Nene herself tweeting. It's about supporting Black, period. I'm strong, I'm healthy, and I will survive. Love y'all. Bye. Okay. And then she retweeted something that says, someone said, I feel you. When I went to my employer about biases and racism, those who knew and experienced those actions stood silently. I thought for about 5 minutes, I wouldn't make a difference, be heard, or taken seriously. I realized I did it for myself, for my self-respect and dignity, not them. Okay, so here with this retweet, it basically kind of lets us know, it affirms what we were saying about her co-workers, i.e. fellow Real Housewives of Atlanta stars, not necessarily speaking up or out on her behalf, right? So the problem with this is, it's not a problem really, but I feel like what we're seeing here is the same thing that we saw similarly with Monique. And now just follow my logic, okay? For a while, Monique was constantly doing interviews and talking about the situations that she experienced with, and these are her experiences with these individuals. I'm not knocking, the Tyler Perrys or the Oprahs or anything like that, because this is her experience. But she was doing interview after interview. And then, she started doing, press with regards to her treatment, according to her, with Netflix, right? So we saw her having these discussions time and time again, asking us to boycott Netflix, and at the time, a lot of us thought she was reaching, okay? And so now when I look at these situations, and I guess what I want us to all hear is the common cry that says support Black women, okay? So I just want that to be the through line for the conversations that we're having today, okay? Now, granted, there have been a lot of things that a lot of people feel like Nene has done that have helped put her in this position. So some people feel like she's using this support me, I'm a Black woman, to it as her defense against some of the things that she's done in the past. I see your comments. So I feel like some of you, I'm acknowledging what I see here. Okay. As Lisa Simmons says, Nene is not being discriminated against. She messed up her good thing on her own. So there is that. And I want to also acknowledge that someone says Kandi knows how to make business moves. The network is cutting their salary. Kandi got in on as a producer. So that's some interesting tea right there. Right. But I want to continue because I want to also now talk about Jennifer Williams. I see what you guys are saying in the chat. There's a lot of divergent opinions in the chat, but I do, again, I want to reiterate that I want the through line for this video to be to support or to listen. Are we listening to our Black women? Before I move on, we got a super chat from Shamar. Says Nene's ambiguous tweets are getting old. I need her to keep it real and call it out, or keep it cute and on mute. I'm torn in this regard today on this topic because, you know, as Infinity says, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, right? So I don't really know. I can't speak to that, but you know, I will say that from an observer's perspective, it's confusing because we don't know all the details, so we can only speculate. But what we do know is that there is a Black woman who is crying out for help. Okay, so I'm gonna keep it there and keep it moving. Someone says people don't know how to separate the on-camera Nene and the business Nene. That could be a good observation as well. Let's move on because I want to talk about Jennifer Williams and Tim Norman. Now, I'm not really going to get into everything that's going on with Tim because I feel like we already know what's happening with him and all of that. Jennifer had posted, thanks to our friends over at Urban Bell Mag, they caught these shots of her tweet and her IG story. She says, karma will get you one way or another. The truth always reveals itself. And then she says, condolences to the family. I can't imagine how this dose of truth is hitting. Okay. So I want to play you guys something from a live that Jennifer did. And it really touches a lot more on, again, this theme of, are we listening to Black women? Okay. So I want to share with you guys this live and we'll just kind of listen to it and we'll talk about it as we go.
That I'm really excited about. But first up for me is definitely my documentary. And I'm just working on myself. Honestly, my goal every day is to be a better person than I was yesterday. And I'm like, you know, I have my moments. I'm like, damn, I could be petty, but let me just be a Christian and like not do that. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, like this that came out yesterday with my ex that I had to. It was such a crazy time for me. You know, like I was going to court for 6 months with this man who lied on me. You know, and everybody was saying because they want to paint Jennifer out like a liar. Everybody was like, oh, she's lying, she's after his money, whatever. Like I had to go through that whole public scrutiny of people about me. You know what I'm saying? With this man who lied on me, saying that I slashed vampires when I was in Santa Monica at a birthday party. And he had been stalking me. This man moved into the building across the street from me. I remember. You know? And I was spending money, being stressed out. I lost so much weight, going to court for 6 months behind. Excuse my language, but I just get so upset, you know? And to come to find out, like, this guy is crazy, and I knew it. You know what I'm saying? And then it comes out, and it's like, everybody's like, oh, I told you so. But that's not it, because I'm not a person that I told you so. It's just like, why do we always try and blame the victim? And it's just like, nobody wants to listen to a Black woman. Because it's like, we're supposed to be bitter, or she's lying, or whatever. Like, I have no reason to lie on a Black man. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to take nobody down or ruin them. Like, I really consider myself a nice person. And, you know, for me, it was a real struggle yesterday because I had to say to myself, well, what energy am I putting out that I'm attracting these type of people into my life? It wasn't even really about him. Like, condolences to his family, because I'm sure that's a tough pill to swallow. You know, I reached out to his cousin this morning because her and I are cool. Granted, whatever the situation is with him, I like her, you know? And so I said, this has to be difficult for their family. And I just wanted her to know, like, you guys are in my thoughts and my prayers, and I'm sending you love. But, you know, for me, it was like, okay, so now you had this guy lying to you. You had this scammer. Like, we gotta switch the trajectory here, you know? And that's why I'm like, I'm about to get the stage out. Like, I don't, you know? And like, I like somebody I really like, but I'm just really trying to like take it super. When I say like turtle slow, I'm just scared of everything. You know what I mean?
But can I tell you, Jen, and people who don't know you, your heart is so pure, and I have always just admired how vulnerable you are and how open. I said this to you recently, like how you remain open to love. And I know that it's not always easy to find, but I think that that's part of the challenge for us as Black women, is that we're forced in many ways to have to put on this armor and be so strong because of the attacks, because of the lies, because people don't show up and, you know, demonstrate who they really should be or who they say they are to us and demonstrate something different. But what I appreciate about you is like even taking this time, and thank you for sharing. And I'm sorry that you're going through this and feeling this way, because I know it's super emotional. But for one, standing in your truth regardless of what other people say. And that's why I even opened up and said, how do you deal with that? Because I think we live in a world, everyone lives in this world where we feel so hyper criticized, but then for you to be in a public and have to live this life publicly, but still try and honor your heart and your spirit and be a good person, which is what I know you to be and who I know you to be. So I appreciate your vulnerability and your truth, but I also honor your pain. I honor your pain, and I know it's not easy to deal with that. And I also feel like, you know, we do have to take inventory and stock ourselves about what's happening around us and figure out what role we play in that, but also recognize that people have their own stuff that's independent of you, Jen.
Right.
That's independent of you, right. You know, because people have to suss out and source their own things. And so I think you're an incredibly beautiful heart. Externally is no question about it, but you're an incredibly beautiful heart and spirited person. And I want nothing but joy and happiness for you, and fullness and abundance and God's light upon you in every possible way.
Thank you so much.
So I wanted to touch on this comment because I kind of feel like it is indicative of a lot of the comments that I'm seeing in the chat, is that because of her past behavior, it's hard to know whether or not, it's hard to separate truth from fiction, is what I'm gathering from a lot of you. And I again, when I put together this video today, obviously these are the news stories that are happening, but I kept seeing a theme in the news stories, even as I was putting these together. But now I'm seeing a little bit of a theme with some of your responses as well, as because we also have to look at the totality of the person involved in the situation as well. Because on the show, we have seen where it has seemed as though Jennifer has lied about some critical stuff. So now people find it hard to, I guess, believe her when she's going through something. Is that, I'm just trying to read between the lines here. So, you know, I don't know. I'm gonna do something real crazy right now. So y'all just gonna have to bear with me because I need to get my MacBook charger because the MacBook is about to die. So we're gonna switch locations. Y'all just bear with me. Rock with me real quick. Rock with me real quick because I don't want this to die before we get to have the rest of this conversation. Anyway, real quick, before we even get to that point, let's look at what we have with Megan, okay? Now, Megan Thee Stallion came out on her live yesterday and basically said that Tory Lanez actually did the thing to her, okay? She actually names him by name. Did you guys get a chance to watch the live? Now, the only reason I haven't shown the live on here is because there was a lot of, explicit language in the live that she did. But she did name him by name as the person who violated her. She goes on to say also, too, that she was attempting to protect him. But in doing so, what she created really was a situation that was confusing for a lot of people, even though she was trying to protect a black man who, according to her, has done her wrong. The question is, in this situation, and she actually herself in her live goes on to say that people are not listening to her as a black woman. Okay? And I'm going to read you just a bit of what she had to say. Okay? She says, yes, Tory violated me. You violated me and you got your publicists and your people to talk to these blogs lying. Stop lying, okay? She says, I didn't tell the police nothing because I didn't want us to get in no more trouble. I'm not sure what other trouble. Well, she did go on to say that because the security person had a piece on him, and that Tory, I guess she is accusing him of using it, that's the reason why she didn't want to get them into any trouble, okay? She says, I tried to keep the situation off the internet, but you dragging it, okay? She says, people are claiming that I hit him. I never hit you. Y'all are like, she's mad because he's trying to get with Kylie Jenner. No, I wasn't. There's only 4 people in the car, me, you, my homegirl, and your security. Everybody in the car arguing. She doesn't really say why they're arguing. She says, I'm in the front seat. He's in the back. I get out the car. I'm done arguing. I'm walking away. Then from the back seat, he starts pow-powing me. I didn't get cut on no glass. Let me tell you why they're saying that. There's a witness. When the police came, this did not happen at Kylie's house. This happened near back at the house I was staying at. The police came. I'm scared. The police have been putting down black people for no reason. They were really aggressive. You think I'm about to tell the police that we got a piece in the car? Okay. If you want to tell the truth, I saved this brother. Okay. That's basically what she says. So in her attempts to save him, she opened the door to criticism because people didn't believe her or they didn't want to believe her. Now, at the end of her statements, she was basically saying the same thing that Nene and Jennifer was saying about us not listening to and supporting black women, okay? And I just, I guess as a black man, I feel like since I'm hearing this more and more and more, I just want to know or to make sure that I personally am doing my part to ensure that I'm listening to our black women. You know what I'm saying? I just want to do my part to make sure that I am listening, I am supporting, and I am an advocate for my black women. So as I'm having this, as I'm talking about these news stories, I'm literally coming to you guys, which is why I love doing this live. I want to know specifically from the black women that are watching and in the chat right now, am I missing something in this conversation? Am I on the right path with this conversation? Or do you guys see some other things at play here that lead you to maybe not believe the women involved? Todd Brown says we need to listen for understanding. We need to support our Black women. That's and someone says they don't mean us because we're gay. I don't think that's the case. I think that whether you are gay or straight or bisexual, I don't think it really matters in our support of our Black women, to be very honest with you. That's just my take on it. So for me, it's just about what can we do as a community to do more to support each other. And because these three stories seem to have a common theme, I just wanted to know and get a general consensus from you guys. What can we do more of? Right. I don't think it has anything to do with whether or not, you know, as a Black man, being gay, straight, or bisexual. I don't think that has anything to do with legit just supporting. C. Ann says people are becoming desensitized because these people are all crying victim. Sharon says gay or straight, you are still our men and we need you. Absolutely. Tony says people need to punish and shame Tory, not Meg. So blissfully Bree says Nene, Meg, and Nene shouldn't be correlated because Nene is reaping her karma. Well, here's the thing. They should be correlated because they are both saying the same thing. Regardless of whether or not Nene has done XYZ in the past, what I'm focusing on is that sort of cry for, hey, this is happening. And so if I keep noticing that as a theme, then I feel like it's my responsibility to also hone in on that and dissect it, separate fact from fiction, and see, hey, are we really, who's being real with it and who's not? Some people feel like Nene is just using it. I saw a comment that says Nene is using it, right? But at the end of the day, let's look at it like this. If I don't work in the medical profession, but I can only imagine this to be the case. If someone comes to the emergency room and their leg is broken and they're saying, hey, I need treatment, I'm not going to ask them, well, did you hit somebody yesterday, or did you lie on somebody yesterday, or what? I'm just going to help the person get the best care possible because they are crying out for help and in a state of emergency. That's how I'm viewing the situation right now. And maybe that's not the smartest way to do it. I don't know. All I know is, as a Black man, what I'm hearing in this moment is this same rallying cry to support Black women. That's how I feel about it. And I understand everybody else may think, well, you know, she did this, that, and the third. She did this, that, and the third. Listen. I also believe anybody who is using that rallying cry out of turn will get their own karma. Okay? So that's a complete, and yes, Sean, discrimination is not necessarily the karma that I'm talking about. You are correct. The karma that I'm talking about is if you are trying to manipulate people into thinking that, oh, this is a situation where you're being mistreated and it's really not, and everybody is rushing to your defense. Oh yeah, you're gonna get it in the end, on the back end, right? But again, I just kind of feel like that's the way we got to look at the situation. When somebody in our community comes to us and they're in pain or they're in need of help, it is our duty to stop and at least listen, acknowledge, and how can we help and support you in this moment. The same thing if somebody tries to commit some type of insurance fraud, you know what I'm saying? They come into the hospital, but ain't nothing really wrong with them. It's going to come out in the wash. It's going to come out in the wash. Somebody down the line is going to be able to see that the leg is not broken. And I'm just using that as an analogy because I felt like it was the best analogy that I could think of at the time to sort of say like, yo, you help people because they're in need, not because of their past. Like I'm not the judge, jury, and executioner of what you have done previously. I can only go on the state that you're in, that you're coming to me with right now. So I guess that's the space that I'm trying to come from. And I'm just trying to feel like, how do we, yes, I do feel like this. And I guess that's what I want to leave us with, right? It's not so much who is deserving of our sympathy, empathy, or support. It's just more about, I just wanted to ensure that we're listening and we're hearing, because it's a common theme that I'm seeing a lot. And these are just 3 stories, but there are tons more that we hear about on a day-to-day basis. So I guess what I want us to do is, the next time we read a story like this, or the next time we encounter, anyone, but specifically our Black women, when they're saying, I need help, this is happening to me, can someone please support me in this endeavor, that I just want us to have the grace enough to say, I hear you. How can we help? What can we do? How can we move? How can we help you move forward in whatever direction? And I get it. I'm not telling you guys to not look at, I always want you guys to also look at situation with your third eye as well, because we do need to separate, again, fact from fiction. So I don't challenge you guys on that, but I'm just also maybe saying, like, could we be a little bit more empathetic as we hear these stories, and can we find more ways to support the women of our community? I think I feel like we have to. I did say third eye, and what I mean by third eye for people who may be not familiar with the term is just use your discernment. That's really what that is for me. Use your discernment. There are things that we see with our own 2 eyes. There are things that we hear, right? But there's also things that we feel. And I feel like that's where that intuition, that gut instinct, that sort of thing that makes us say, something doesn't sound right about this situation. I'm not saying to get rid of that. But what I am saying is, if we're constantly seeing a theme right now that's saying support Black women, maybe it's time that we start doing that for those of us that maybe haven't been doing it. That's all I'm saying. So, Angela, for me, this is, and again, I stated this earlier, I don't think it's about jumping on anybody's bandwagon at this point. I think it's just about recognizing that there's a sister out there who is she's constantly, you know, saying, hey, something's going on, is that we see it and acknowledge it. And I know it may be harder to digest because maybe things that have happened in the past have not been so favorable for her, or she hasn't done some favorable things, but that doesn't necessarily always mean that we don't still give that person grace because we don't like what they did in the past. We can't look at people like that. That's just how I feel. Exactly. So anyway, that's the video for today, guys. You know, it just moved me just to kind of like see that this was a theme in you know, with today's stories. So I just wanted to come to you guys with it and really hash it out. And I can't just come on here and do news and not talk about something that I feel like directly impacts all of us who are chatting about it and talking about it, because it does affect us all. And I think that the last thing that I would want anybody in this chat or anybody who watches this later to experience is a situation where you're judged by your past actions and not by what's happening to you right now. So exactly, I read a really good comment. If the table was turned, I'm pretty sure you would want support. So I just want us to be able to look at these situations and say, maybe there is something more here that I don't necessarily see, you know? Our culture has to come together and break systematic separation. Absolutely. There was a super chat here. I can't find it. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Melissa Bell, for that. I appreciate it, man. I'm just trying to, I don't know. I'm just trying to do my part, man. I'm just trying to do my part. With that being said, guys, listen, y'all, it's the weekend. I want y'all to go out there, live your best life, but be safe. Wear your mask, support each other, look out for one another. Yeah, and if something else pops off, I'll definitely come back on here and we'll chat about it and we'll figure it out together. You know, that's how we do. That's all we can do at this point. So thank you guys for tuning in to this. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and y'all know what's up. I'll see you in the next video.